Hey, what's going on, folks? It's Larry, Packmaster Dog Training here. One of the most frequent questions I get about how to teach a dog how to do something is, how do I teach my dogs to walk backwards or go in reverse the way you see Luca doing? Okay, so he can walk backwards, go in reverse pretty fast on command, and a lot of people want to teach their dogs how to do that. You guys have to remember something. Whenever you're teaching a dog how to do anything, especially a more complex exercise, which walking backwards, by the way, isn't complex. It's very easy because it's one thing you have to teach the dog. There's not a bunch of components to it. But whenever you're teaching something, especially complicated things like a trained retrieve or something, just remember, you want to break it down into little itty-bitty pieces, okay? Little tiny pieces, you know? So, and there's several ways to teach everything. There's never one way, and there's never one right way. I don't even know if there's one best way, but there's a lot of different ways to teach anything. So let's talk about how we teach the dogs how to walk backwards. Several different ways. Sometimes I'll just start out of the blue. You could start with food or a toy that the dog likes and literally use your hand or your body language to move towards the dog when he's in front of you. And if he takes one step backwards, you can mark that and reward. Very, very simple, very basic. It's not rocket science, okay? And you continue to do that. There's no command given to it at this point because the dog doesn't know what they're doing, okay? You're just helping them along, all right? Then you continue to do the same thing. You move the dog backwards with food or a toy or your body language, and you wait till they take 2 or 3 steps back, and then you reward that. And then what you do is, once you start adding the command, guys, where people make the mistake, they give the command and they use the body language at the same time. And if you want the dog to be able to respond without body language, to just a verbal command, what you have to do is give the command first. Make it very separate. Give the command first and then use your body language to back the dog up and then mark and reward. Now, another thing I like to use is a chuck it. I use a chuck it with my dogs a lot to throw, and I use it as a pointer, and it works fantastic when teaching the reverse command. You basically, with the dog sitting in front of you, you use the chuck it to push the dog back a little bit, and the second they take a natural couple steps backwards, you mark and reward. But now I'll tell you the easiest way I ever taught a dog how to walk in reverse, and the fastest way, all right? This is how I taught Bruno how to walk in reverse, very, very fast, quicker than any other dog. And I've had several clients that have asked me. I don't teach clients how to, you know, have their dogs walk backwards because it's not important and it's not necessary and it's not really even beneficial. But if someone really wants to do it, this is the quickest way I've done it before. And I've even had several clients, like in one day, their dog was walking backwards very well. So the day I decided I want to teach Bruno how to walk backwards, back then I didn't have patience at all. I wanted it done fast. So the easiest way to do anything to help a dog out is to cheat and make it very easy for the dog to succeed, to set him up for success, not failure, all right? So what I did is, my old house where I used to live, I had a 6-foot privacy fence, wooden fence. And I had plenty of room on the outside of the fence. I had a big yard. So I took 3 cars. Now you have to picture this in your head. I parked 3 cars about 1.5 to 2 feet away from the back of the privacy fence in a row, nose to nose, the cars, okay, in a straight line, which left a little tiny gap between the cars and the fence. You picturing this? And what I did was I put Bruno in a sit at the end of those cars. So in that little alleyway between the cars and the fence, I had Bruno sit, and I walked around the cars to the other end. I called Bruno to me in that little skinny alleyway that he barely fit in, okay? He just had enough room to get in there comfortably. I called him in front of me. Now, if I went walking toward him or asked him to back up as I moved toward him, he couldn't turn around or spin around. He had to naturally walk in a perfectly straight line in front of me to get out of there. Can you picture that? Does it make sense? Super simple. So basically, he can't fail. I wanted it done quickly. So I called him to me, right? And I think in this case, I actually did start using the command right away because Bruno learned very, very, very easily, and he really listened to what I would say. And so I would tell him reverse, and then I would start giving him a hand signal and moving towards him. And I walked the whole length backwards, and he walked the whole length backwards. And I did that several times. And by the end of that day, he was able to walk in reverse pretty damn well without any assistance, without the cars, without the fence, nothing. Okay, so I completely cheated and I set up the dog for success very easily. He couldn't fail. He couldn't fail. And then once the dog starts performing the action that you're training, guys, it's just repetitions then. It's going out 5-10 minutes at a time and getting in repetitions. It takes a lot of repetitions. For all the folks that send emails, how do you teach that? How do you teach your dog to go in reverse like that? That's all it is. It's no different than any other thing, and it's actually one of the easier things to teach, guys, because it's one movement, it's one motion, it's one action, not very complicated. So no matter what you're teaching your dog, break it down into the smallest possible steps and teach each step separately. Sometimes it's easier to teach the back end of the command that you're trying to teach. It just depends what you're teaching, but that's it. So just think about it. You know, don't be a lazy thinker. Don't be a lazy dog trainer. Just think about what would make this really easy or make sense to the dog. So think about what makes sense to the dog. How could I get this across to the dog to where it makes sense and that light bulb goes off? All right. Hope that helps, guys. Thanks.